Hey everyone, welcome to my new video. Today I want to replicate these painted sci-fi crates. You can see here on this design with the robot. So we'll do some basic modeling, some unwrapping and texture painting so you can use stylized assets like this in your next illustration or game or whatever you have. If you're new to the channel and you like to see more of these tutorials in the future, please hit that subscribe button and the bell button if you want to get notified when I release something new. And if you want to learn Blender with more in-depth explanation and streamlined process so you don't have to hunt all those scattered videos around and you get from A to B in really a quick way, you can go and check out my website polygonrunway.com. You can find the link in the description, and I offer some courses there for you to learn Blender in the fastest and most effective way. So now let's get to it and let's switch this to the layout here. And here's a little twist for today. I won't delete the default cube, I will only delete the camera and the light. So we'll use the default Blender cube in this tutorial and it will serve as a base for the whole crate. So yeah, let's get to it and let's modify this. Let's select the cube and now go into the edit mode, and we'll do one cut here with Ctrl R and move it a little bit up. And now we can bevel this with Ctrl B with only one segment. If you have more, you can modify this with the mouse wheel. So let's do bevel like that, and now extrude this inside. So Alt E and extrude along normals, and let's push this inside. You can additionally press S to enable even scaling, and let's now confirm. And we can now do another loop cut, so Ctrl R and do a loop cut right here. It doesn't have to be precisely like the one in the top, so something like this will do. And now press 3 for the face select, select the top face, rotate a little bit and shift click here to select the bottom face. And we'll now scale this on a X and Y plane, so S and Shift Z, and scale this down like this. So this will be base for our crate, and now I want some locking mechanism here. So let's just select this face, press Shift S and choose cursor to select it. And now we'll add a new object, but inside the edit mode, so it'll be part of this object only as a separate mesh. So let's press Shift A and add the cube. Now scale this down to something like this, and we can additionally scale this on the X-axis as well, so S and X, something like that. And now let's move this forward a little bit like this and make a cut here. So Ctrl R, do a cut somewhere here. 3 to face select, select this face and scale it down, and maybe we can push this a little bit back. So move it, and now inset with I and extrude with E. And that's our locking mechanism. We can now hover over this and press L to select this. If you press A, you will select the whole object, but we just want this separated mesh, so press L. Look from the side with 3 on a numpad, and let's scale this up so it's a little bit larger. Yeah, I really like this so far. We can maybe push this out a little bit. And I won't do much regarding the unwrapping here. Basically, let's try and see how Blender does it by itself. So let's select all and press U and Smart UV Project. We can set the island margin to something like 0.02, and let's press OK. And let's see in the UV editing view how Blender did that. I think for the sake of saving time, this will serve okay as the UVs for some basic painting. Of course, you can always go around your object and do the seams by hitting U and mark seam, and then unwrapping manually here yourself so you have the islands you want to have. But right now, for the sake of saving time, let's move on and let's just paint over this object. Let's switch now to the texture paint workspace here, and we can see our UVs there, and we can see our object. It's all pink, so there's no texture there. And first of all, we'll need to assign some material here. So let's go to the material tab, and there's already the default material, so we can just rename this to crate. and let's go back to the toolbar. And you can see there are no textures here. We can do it from this panel here. So add a new texture and let's select the base color slot. And now let's go for something like 2048. So we have a 2K texture there. Let's hit OK. So now we have some texture in place. And if you start painting, you can see you're applying the white color there. But we are not finished there because we don't see the texture here. So you can select this from the drop down menu. You can see there's a create base color. That's the name that was created for us. You can rename it here. But right now this texture doesn't exist anywhere on the disk. If you would close the Blender and open it up again, no matter if you painted in something, you would not see this. You would lost all the work. So hovering over this image here, you can press Alt S and that will bring up the save menu and you can navigate to some of your folders. You probably don't see my save dialog right here because my recording software doesn't show it, I think, but yeah, I'm just picking some place to save this image, and right after it's saved, you no longer see the asterisk here on the image. If you paint something here, you will see the asterisk here once again. That means that image was modified and needs to be saved. So yeah, this is now ready for painting. And before we actually paint, I want to set some basic colors here. First, I want to apply some default color for the entire cube. So let's hit the paint bucket here and let's navigate to some blue color and just click somewhere. And you will see everything got painted, but I want this top to be red here. So we can go into the edit mode, press tab, and now I will select this, press Ctrl plus. And if I want this to be painted red, now we can just tab out to the texture paint mode and enable paint mask here. So you can see only this is active now. And if I switch to the red color here, maybe a little bit darker, and click, you will see I'm painting just over the parts that I've selected in the edit mode. So that's how the paint mask works. And I think this will be okay for the colors. So tab in, select all, so we can paint over everything. And we can now move on and start painting some details. So as you can see, the resolution changed for me a little bit. That's because I switched to my pen display. So I use the tablet with the display on, so I can paint directly over my screen, and it's a very convenient way. I use the Huion, I don't know how to pronounce it. I use the Huion Canvas 16 tablet. I think it's just worth mentioning what I use. You can find a link in the description. Yeah, I will use the tablet here because it will be very hard to paint with the mouse. So let's do some adjustments here. And now I will start paint over some details. And the first, I want to address this red part over here. So let's go into the edit mode and just select this part. And you can see we have it masked. And right now I want to select the brush. You can see here's the white color. So to get the red color, we need to sample this. So you can just press S while hovering over something and you will pick up that color. You can see there, if you press F, you will change the radius of the brush. And I think Shift F is the opacity or the strength of the brush. Yeah. So let's just paint over this to give it some structure. So I will just modify this color to something a little bit more desaturated. Let's modify the strength a little bit. And I will just start painting over these little smudges. And this is just to give some structure to the paint, to the material under there, so it's not that flat. And if you want to better see your material, you can go to the material preview, and in the shading you can, with the node wrangler enabled, you can Control Shift click the color there, so you will get the better preview of your colors here without the shading and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just giving it some brushwork, some color, so it's not that uniform there, you know, so it actually looks like someone painted over it. And right now we can do some maybe darker parts, so I will make this a little bit darker. Let's pick up this color and let's move the slider a bit down. So again, this is just to give this paint some wear effects. Okay. Right, and now I will proceed and do some edges here. So it's really visible that this paint is worn out. I will reduce the radius here a little bit and start painting over the edges. You can additionally show the wireframe so you can better see what you're doing there. And you can do this here in the overlay settings, enable the wireframe, and let's just paint some edges. Sometimes it might be a little bit daunting to start painting over something, because you know you're breaking that integrity of that solid color. So you kind of need to get into that zone where, you know, everything is possible, and you just start painting more and more, and you really get to that flow state where it just goes away and you can work without the fear of like breaking something. And now we have some edges here, and we really want to emphasize that, so I will erase this and start doing some details here. And really nothing too crazy going on here. This is just to show you how you can basically apply some brushwork, some paint over your 3D model. I really want this to be short video. I don't want to get much more into these details, so I will just move on. And the amount of brushwork you want to apply really depends on the style you want to achieve, whether you want this to look really like the painted and shaded and stuff like that, or you just want to give it some details and really use just the flat colors to create some kind of texture. And now I will create like these little dents and these really worn out corners. We can now go full opacity. Okay, so that's basically it, and additionally, if you want, you can apply like some scratches or something. So with a really small brush size, you can reduce the opacity here and do like some scratches here and there. It really depends how far you want to go with these scratches. I recommend always start with less, and you can then apply more detail if you feel like it. Okay, I'm quite satisfied with this, so we can move to the blue parts. So right now I will just press Ctrl I in the edit mode to inverse the selection, and now we will paint over the blue color. So I will hover here with the S pressed to get sample of that color and really make it a little bit darker. Adjust the size of the brush, and we are ready to paint. So again, just paint over some smudges like this. Be careful here about the geometry. And you can optionally fill out these like cavity parts here with a little bit of darker color. Okay, so something like this will be fine. And now we can go for a lighter color here and make that worn out edges with that color dents, so we have some interest there. Okay, now we can raise the strength a bit more and really get into that detail painting. And again, it's the same stuff I did on the first part there, you know, just going over the model. Right, so this is finished now. And the one more thing I want to do here is to do some more dents in the color here, like somewhere here, so it looks like something hit the crate and actually chipped some of that color away, and maybe some here. And you can see how I'm doing just the random shapes here. I basically just let my hand flow a little bit. Okay, something like this that's visible from this side. And now we'll need to give it some more structure. So let's pick up that blue color here and let's darken it a little bit, and we can do a little edge here. So basically we are faking a little bit of a shadow there on the edge of the dent. And now we can take the lighter color a little bit and do some highlight there. And if you go away a little bit, you can see this got a little bit of a structure there, and it now looks like it really has been dented there, but it's a more like cartoon approach. It's not painted in so much of detail. Don't forget to Alt-S, hovering over the image, to save this to your hard drive every time you paint something. And one more thing I really want to do is to create a new mask here. So let's go to the shading, and we can see here we have our crate base color there. We can enable preview of that principled shader again by Ctrl-Shift clicking. And now I want a new texture here. So let's just select this and press Shift D to duplicate. But we want a new texture there, and let's make it 2K as well. Let's call this mask, or better, crate mask. And with this selected, we can go to the texture paint. You can see this is already selected here. So if we paint, we are painting here in this crate mask, not in the crate base color, because it really depends what basically a layer or what texture slot from the shader editor you have selected here. So let's select this, and I want to save this somewhere. So I will save this as image. And now I just want to mask out the parts that will be lighted with the emission shader here. So go into the edit mode and just hit 3 for face select. Select this face by clicking, and Alt-Shift click the loop here. So I want this to be shining too. You can see we have it selected here. Tab out, and with mask active we can choose the white color here, and we of course need the paint bucket, so we need to do this all over again. And just click somewhere. And you can see here on the left it was filled out, so I will Alt-S here to save this. And now if we go back to the shader editor, we can add a mix shader. So let's press Shift A, shader, mix shader, plug it here, and now we can create emission shader. So let's pick that one from the list here, like that. and connect it here, and we can plug this mask into the factor. So as you can see, now we have the difference there, and we can set this emission shader to some cyan blue color and really ramp up to strength to something like 10 or even 20. And let's modify the principle. I want the roughness to go all the way up so we don't have so many reflections there. Reduce the specular as well so we get the most out of that hand paint. And now if we go to the layout view and material preview, this is your cube, and if we go to the EV settings and enable bloom and screen space reflections and something like that, this is your nice hand painted asset that you can use in your game engine or on the website with 3JS, basically whatever you want. I will play around with the scene a little bit more, and I will finish it up similarly to the robot scene. You can find a link to the original robot scene in the description so you can see how I lighted up the environment and everything. So yeah, this is the painted crate for you, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and the bell button if you like this content and you want to be notified when I release something new. And it would mean the world to me if you go out and check out my Instagram channel or my website for the courses I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.